Welcome back to the Soul Aligned Network Private Podcast. I'm your host, Criss Madrigal, and today I'm excited to have Sarah Wayne with us, who brings to us a whole new level of compassion and awareness to the conversation around women's health, especially for those of us that are navigating this midlife transition. Sarah Wayne is also one of our guest experts, so you may be familiar with her, and she really helps heart-led women in perimenopause naturally just reclaim their energy, peace, and clarity. And Sarah's work really came from her own experience of exhaustion, anxiety, brain fog, burnout, and then realizing that what she was feeling wasn't herself falling apart. It was more of her body calling her home. And I absolutely love that, Sarah, because I think that is the real sign of our bodies speaking to us. So I want to just start off by welcoming you and thank you for taking the time to continue to share your wisdom through the podcast now.
Thank you, Chris. It's an honor to co-create this moment with you.
Oh, I love it. Sarah, I like to always start by having our guest really tell us a little bit and share what it is that led them to the work that they're doing today. And I know that behind every story and every woman, I should say, there is a powerful story that really led them to the passion and the work that they do today. So, what can you share with us?
Okay, there's two phases here. I'll just quickly share the first phase. So initially, I started my career out as a graphic designer, websites, and doing all the all the techie behind the scenes, making flyers, and my body broke down so severely that I couldn't type for more than 5 minutes. I couldn't walk upstairs. This was in my 20s, and my body just shut down. Like it was so bad that I had a few doctors tell me that I might have cancer, that I had fibromyalgia, MS, pre-diabetes. So like I got hit with a whole lot of big issues very early on in my life. Took a big transition into holistic healing, became a certified nutritionist, and realized I was way more interested in learning about health, healing, nutrition, all things healing of the body than I was about putting websites together and making flyers for people. So that shifted my focus, and I was obsessed with learning everything I could about healing the body because doctors weren't helping me. When I was going to medical doctors, I just kept getting stonewalled with, there's nothing we can do, or you're fine, or, here's some pills. And I was not okay with that. So going into my career as a holistic nutritionist, I did that for, it's been about 17 years now. And just a few years ago, I felt like I was at the peak of my health. I actually felt so resilient, so strong physically. And then all of a sudden, in a year, it just felt like it fell out from the bottom. Like I started gaining weight. I started feeling irritable. All these symptoms started coming back from my autoimmune issues. And I was just like, what is going on? And I put it up to stress because it was during the COVID shutdown, and there was a lot of outward stress. So I kind of just thought it was that. And then once I figured there was more connection and I started testing my hormones and other levels, I saw very clearly that I was in perimenopause. And that just had me realize, like, wow, I was not prepared to transition into this at 43. And I also didn't know as much as I had known so much about health and healing and wellness. I realized perimenopause was something I just kind of saw as out there. Even though I was into women's health, it just wasn't as prominent. So I'm a researcher at heart. I like to find the truth. And so that's been my main focus the last 3 years, is understanding perimenopause symptoms and what's going on with our brain and our hormones and our endocrine system. So there's my story for you.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Twofold. So was your initial moment in your 20s what led you to the natural path and digging in and becoming practitioner, or was there something different?
That was when I made the shift to becoming a more, well, it was more for my own journey of like wanting to understand health and nutrition because I just didn't know. I was an athlete for many years in high school and I really burnt my body. Like I did not fuel myself well. I didn't. And so that became my journey of really understanding how to fuel the body, nutrition, and then beyond, like really looking at how the mind affects the body and how our spiritual connection to all that is affects our body as well. So I really do take a body, mind, and spirit approach with everything I do in my work.
Yeah, I love that. So I am right in that age of
Mhm.
perimenopause. And I have a question for you because I know you said this started for you in your early 40s. What would you say is the youngest that you've seen these symptoms pop up? And I ask because I feel like what you describing, the brain fog, the weight gain, the fatigue, and all that, I feel like I felt them more like when I was 39.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, symptoms can typically happen as early as 35. If they're happening before, because perimenopause can be like this stage in life that's 7 to 10 years. For some, it could be a couple years before you actually reach that state of menopause where you officially not had a menstruation for 12 months. That's like the one day in history where you are officially considered menopausal. And I would say that like for me, my symptoms actually did probably occur a lot earlier. And it was just not as noticeable until 43. So I think this is what I'm sensing and when I'm talking to a lot of people about and getting a sense of the symptoms coming up is it feels like because the brain is changing, legitimately, the brain is changing during this time that we lose cognition. We either lose focus or our concentration or our like this like brain foggy thing starts to come in or people you're losing your words. I feel like that's a lot of women's initial story is, you just kind of see it as I'm stressed out or I'm just feeling anxious. And it
Mhm.
can usually be treated with, and I wouldn't say usually can be, but it typically is treated with antidepressants, things like that.
Mm.
And my feeling is honestly, I think before any woman is given an antidepressant, her hormone levels should be checked.
Yeah. I love that. Okay. So I asked that question it's more of a personal question because
Yeah.
as I go through and I hear all the very many different symptoms that are kind of tied and related to perimenopause, there's times where I'm like, well, I feel good right now. But as I hear these symptoms, I tie it back to when I hit 40, where I'm like, and I had this aha moment probably last week where I was like, oh my goodness, all these symptoms are the things that I was feeling when I hit 40. When I went out and tried to get, that was a time that I tried to research and do things. And I honestly attributed that to just my life that I lived, full of stress, full of, anxiety. Essentially, I was living in survival mode for a whole decade. Just motherhood led me to that. And that was when I started, the supplements and the doing this and that, and nothing was really helping me. In fact, I started supplements and I broke out in hives. And then I was like, well, forget it because I didn't feel like I knew enough. So I had to stop everything. And that continued. Like I developed this autoimmune condition, breaking out in hives. And that lasted for about 4 years until I went and saw a holistic, nutritionist,
Mhm.
and that's where I could say, we got to the root cause, which was, you've been living in survival mode for the last 10 years. And that's what led to this. And so I feel like once I went through that natural path of healing my body,
Mhm.
I was able to just really come out on the other side, you know, clear all the symptoms of hives and really feel at my best. Was it hard? Absolutely. Going through that journey, and from there, I was able to stick to a lot of the, I guess you could say, healthier practices that I believe is what continues to help me feel better. But for those that really can't, even pinpoint what it is that they're feeling, what what advice do you have for them? Like, where is that place where you say, you know what, it's time for you to maybe start researching or get in contact with me or whatever that may be. Like, what are those telltale signs of something like the brain fog and the fatigue that some people may just contribute to? I'm just so tired and exhausted because of the fast-paced life that we're living.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all connected. And I think of it as total load. So stress can induce early menopause. You know,
Oh, okay.
so when your progesterone levels go down, your adrenals kick in because they produce progesterone, not very much, but they actually will start to be compensating for lower levels of progesterone. And you have to look at it this way too, like all your hormone levels are a seesaw, like it's a balancing act. It's not like one's over here, one's over there, right? They all work together in a symphony. And so when you're younger, there's so many cofactors. There's so many, I like to think of it as the total load, right? Your stress, what are you putting in your body? What's your toxicity level, your inflammation level, all of that. And while you can discern and be intuitive and kind of, set like, okay, I need to take these things, I need to eat differently, I need to exercise better, or I need to go see somebody, like you might navigate that. But I do feel testing is very helpful just to give yourself like a baseline at some point in your life. And, it just helps you not have to guess so much. And the things that are important to test, sometimes your typical doctor, Western doctors don't test for. So you need to learn how to ask. And I like to educate my clients on what tests to ask for their doctors. And also take things into your own hands. Like you can test your hormones at home. You can see like, so are you currently in perimenopause or have you gone to the menopause phase where you haven't had a period for 12 months?
Me, I
Yeah.
actually had a hysterectomy when I
Okay.
was, I don't know, it's been a few years now.
Okay. And do you mind
So
asking if you kept it all or do you get rid of it?
I kept my ovaries.
Okay. Awesome. That's
Yeah.
good.
So I feel like while I did have a hysterectomy,
Mhm.
and my gosh, it's been like 10 years. I think it's been 10 years ago I had a hysterectomy. And the fact that I was able to keep my ovaries, I feel like has kept me a little bit more balanced because I
Oh
don't know
yeah.
what would have happened. I probably would have been in hormone, what do you call it? Replacement or uh, therapy. I don't know if
Yeah.
it would have been
Yeah.
removed.
And that would have been very important for your health. Like there's a lot of conflicting information and I think we're all unique at the same time too. So no one's journey here. I would never say
Mhm.
to anyone, here's what you should do. I would be I consider that what's the word I'm looking for? Um, Duty of care to say that everyone has a unique biochemistry. And so just because something worked for someone or something worked for some person you saw online or share I would not just jump in and say okay then that's what I need. There's so many nuances. So yeah, you went through a medical menopause essentially, but you still had your ovaries, so you still were producing the hormones, which is great. That's actually going to been shown in studies to be a huge proponent in keeping your bones and your heart and your brain healthier. So that's why I asked that. But then you want to look at like where are your hormone levels now? Have you looked at them? Have you tested them so you can see, what's the balancing act right now? And there's a few tests I recommend. Like the Dutch is I work with um, um, I'm like, I'm having a perimenopause moment here. What's a functional medicine practitioner? And she helps a lot with my testing. I go to her for all the good tests and send my clients to her for testing as well. And it's just really helpful to have that. I like to think of it as like, make it a birthday gift to yourself, once a year, get a good baseline, see where your hormones are, your vitamin D levels, your zinc, your thyroid, like get certain things just checked. So if you're seeing little nuances, you can make adjustments way before it gets to be super out of balance. And then it's more difficult to bring it back into balance. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yes, absolutely. So let's touch for just a couple minutes on the testing because I know when I went through my nutritional path, I mean, it was an abundance of tests, which are tests, like you said, that your normal practitioner, PCP, they will not do. In fact, there were some levels, let's just say iron, for example, where my test through the nutritionist is like, okay, they're low. But then my practitioner is like, no, they're fine. And
Mhm.
so I think it just creates confusion in people where it's like, I go to my annual wellness checkup with my regular practitioner, and all the numbers look great. Everything's fine. But then I go to the nutritionist that I was going to, ran all these tests, and she's like, oh, you're all over the place. And I think that creates confusion. Can you just break that down just a little bit for people
Yeah.
to understand?
Yeah. I've got a good perspective in this that I've worked with pediatric cardiologists, I've worked with medical doctors, chiropractors. So I've worked with a gamut of different health practitioners and seeing the tests they order, seeing what comes back. And first of all, tests come back false positive, false negative all the time. That's just actually known. That's why you always want to, if you can repeat a test again, it's very helpful. But when it comes to the values that these like more you could say generic testing places like Quest or LabCorp, not that they don't have good tests that they can run, but typically the doctors will order the ones that have values that are just to keep you alive. Like these are values that are just before disease. So
Mhm.
if you want to
Got
live
it.
your life just on the cusp of disease, then follow those ranges. But if you want to be exceptionally healthy, vital at your best, you need to look outside those ranges and realize like everyone's different. And like my low in thyroid might be a normal for your thyroid. Like even though there's these ranges, our bodies have just different ways of feeling great. Like I actually, when I had my test done, I had a lot of things that were very off in my gut biome and in my hormone levels, but I did not feel the symptoms that most people feel. I actually felt really great, except for a few things that I could tell was off. And I think that's what's come sometimes leads women to like, I just feel off. Like something's just not
Mhm.
right, but everything looks normal. And that's where I bring in a more intuitive approach. And I teach people how to do what I call the body truth test. And the body truth test is using uh, applied kinesiology. So if you know how to muscle test, great, you can do that on your own. And then I also look at a symptom survey of toxicity. I also read the eyes. So you can do iris analysis to see what is being reflected inside your body. The body truth test is like a whole multidimensional way of looking at what's a yes for your body and what's a no for your particular body. And you'll hear me say biochemical individuality a lot. I know it sounds like a clunky word, but it's like, it's very important to get that. Your chemistry is your chemistry. It's very unique to you. And there's so many things and nuances that, one person's medicine is another's poison. I mean, right?
Mhm.
That we know this. And so that's why I don't say just take my advice blanketly or take anyone's advice blanketly. I think you got to learn how to be intuitive and discerning in your own right by just pausing for a moment, listening, getting a sense. Are you feeling open and like you're moving into wanting to try something? Or are you feeling kind of like, I'm not sure? Even your beliefs, even what you believe about something or your own body's ability will affect your potential for healing, for feeling better, or for not.
Yeah. So I know you talk a lot about helping women, work with their bodies instead of against them. So what does that really mean for someone who is tuning in, and how did that shift change everything for you?
Hmm. So I was really good at ignoring my body. Like I would, a lot of women, I think we pride ourselves in saying, I have a really high tolerance for pain. I think we do. I think most women are really great at that. And while pain doesn't have to be a negative, it's just this messenger, and not just pain in itself, but all sensations are messengers. And what really helped, because like I said, I ignored it all. Nobody knew how bad I felt. Like I couldn't walk up a flight of stairs without having to stop, catch my breath. And I couldn't stay awake. Like even if I slept 8 hours a day, but I hid it. Nobody knew about this. And that's where we have to start like really turning turning the mirror back onto ourselves and saying, okay, what do I want? Like, what I really, really want? I want to be the healthiest version of myself. I want to have a long life. I want to be with my kids when they're older and see my grandkids. Like, does that matter to you? If it does, then you have to take each moment today to really reflect. Is this bringing me closer to that vision of health and vitality, or is it taking me away? And it may be confusing. You may not know. Like, I don't know, is coffee good for me or not good for me? Right. Like, and that's where I
Yeah.
think you can do some muscle testing or there's various things you can do to just have an experience of knowing something's right for me or not. Like, I mean, go online for 2 minutes and you're going to see all conflicting information about everything, right? Like, eat this
Right.
way, don't eat this way, take this, don't take that. Like, it's maddening if you were trying to navigate from a place of, I don't know anything, tell me what to do. You have to come back to like really just gut check it, heart check it. And then I have to say this is a caveat too, because a lot of women come to me and their gut's all messed up because they've denied their own truth. They've stopped listening to themselves. And the more you don't listen to your guttural truth,
Mm-hmm.
the more I see digestive issues. And then it becomes more challenging to even know what's true for you because you've got this overgrowth of bacteria that doesn't have your best interest in mind. It just wants you to eat sugar. It just wants you to eat bad stuff. And because that's survival. So if we're coming in that kind of an imbalance, we do want to get ourselves to a much more balanced place. And the way I see across the board for everybody to kind of give a blanket answer to how you could start to do that, besides just listening to your body, is cleaning out the toxins, lowering the inflammation, whatever that needs to look like for you. And that there's so many ways. I mean, I always like to just answer questions about this, like, because there's so many ways we can do that. But I'm curious to know, Criss, if there's like ways that you realized you had obviously autoimmune, there's inflammation, right? And did you get
Right.
toxicity testing to find out if you were toxic to heavy metals or certain things and detox that?
I don't remember, to be honest with you, that part. And
Because that's
just
essential. Yeah. And I'll give a link to how you can test your toxicity level with a
okay.
simple questionnaire. It's actually in the workshop
Masterclass.
that we did, the
Yeah.
masterclass we did. So for anyone listening, it's just a link. You can download the PDF, take it, see where you're at with your toxicity level. Cause then at least you know, oh, wow, okay, these symptoms are showing I've got toxicity. Let's start with that. That'll alleviate so much if you just start there.
Okay, let's touch on that quickly. So while I don't remember if they tested me for that, I'm gonna say I got all these tests done about 2 years ago. And there were so many that I honestly don't remember. The toxicity part is, but I did take the questionnaire that you provided in the master class, and I believe my total came out to a 21, which
Okay.
felt like on the lower scale. How
Mhm.
would you interpret that? And I know I don't have it in front of me to say it's from 1 to whatever that number was.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is on the lower end. There's still room to reduce that, right? Because that's still 20 symptoms or, gauges of, a level of 20. I think usually when you get to around 50 is like, okay, that's got to be the priority. So you would probably benefit. I'd look at many other cofactors too, with like, what else are you doing? What's your whole lifestyle look like? And then we look at what's the lowest common denominator for where you could up level it, right? Like, are you getting enough detoxification through your sun, like, and being outside? Like, is that happening? Because sometimes even just, I find sometimes just telling my clients to go sit out in the sun, stick your feet on the ground for 20 minutes. And I've seen all kinds of things heal just from that alone. So we want to look at where are you doing in a big picture? And then do you need to make some shifts with what you're putting in your body, with what you're consuming, what's your stress levels like? All
Mm-hmm.
of that is going to help. And then there's some things you can do to boost the kidneys, the liver, the gallbladder, which are your detox organs, as well as your skin. I mean, all the things that help detox naturally, like simple ones, adding lemon to your water, drinking milk thistle tea, dandelion roots. Um, you know, there's I love using spirulina for that, or chlorophyll. Like but I don't know, that might not be right for you because of various XYZ, right? So there's just, you use your own discernment to find what are things that are going to boost these daily detox habits. That's what I like to think of, like your daily detox ritual. For me, it's like always tongue scraping or oil pulling. That's a great way to pull toxins out on a regular basis as well.
Yeah. Well, there is so much information that you could share and, point us to. Um, but I know, we're coming up against time, but I think what I love to do is you just provided a masterclass for the members here and the Soul Line Network. Tell them a little bit about what you covered, because I think this is a beautiful segue for them to really learn more about the information that you shared. I thought it was very powerful. You provided great tools, and maybe just give them an idea of what it is that they'll find inside that masterclass so they can continue to, dig deeper into their journey or start.
Yeah, definitely check out the masterclass if you are feeling burnt out, you've got perimenopausal symptoms like brain fog, memory issues, hot flashes, if that's all coming onto you, or even if you're just overwhelmed with symptoms of your body and don't know where to start. So what I take people through in this masterclass is the vitality alignment method, which is these 3 steps that I guide every client through to assess what's going on presently. So there's 3 phases: presence, beliefs, and purify. Presence, we look at getting an awareness of what's happening, what's your current state of affairs, whether it's, symptom testing, iris analysis. I even look at human design as well, because I like to incorporate the whole being on multiple levels. Because if you're living your life out of alignment with your energy patterns and your energy design, that can cause a whole host of issues as well. So I'm sure you know. And then once we are aware, like we've got the presence of what's going on and teaching you how to drop in and become more intuitive to your body, then we look at the beliefs that are potentially interfering with your ability to heal, to find the answers. I have found this is the most important stage for everyone to like do a check with, are there any beliefs or blocks in my energy that don't want me to be healthy? And you be surprised, people have beliefs around guilt of being healthy, or around being like somehow there is an identity attachment to being sick or being, not as vital. Like there's always kinds of nuances to it, but discerning where those core energetic blocks and beliefs are, I teach a process called belief alchemy to actually remove that and replace it with something more beneficial. Then, now that
I have to ask real quick, and sorry for interrupting, but as you're talking about this, I feel like it's an important question because you're talking about beliefs.
Mhm.
The belief that something is hereditary, and it's almost like, well, it's hereditary. I have it. There's nothing I can do about it. Would you consider that
Mhm.
a large part of that a belief? And like, yes, you can actually, you know, do something about it, even though it's in your bloodline, for example.
Yeah, that's a great one, because it is an actual belief and it is an actual marker of DNA reflection. But the cool thing is DNA gets turned on and off by the environment. So if you create a different environment with your mind and with what you do and show up in your body and how you talk to it and all you put in it, then that expression doesn't have to get turned on.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want like the science behind all that, go read Biology of Belief by Dr. Bruce Lipton. Like he'll explain it all to you since we don't have time in this podcast.
Right,
But
right.
really, like, yes, actually, that is the one that comes a lot. And that is how you handle it, is you have to acknowledge it's there, release it, and then create a new belief, and you integrate with that new belief, and that becomes your reality. And I see it over and over again. It's pretty it's anecdotal, but it's too extensive to not be true. Like I see it, I've seen hundreds and hundreds of stories of this. So when I shift my beliefs, everything changes. And that's actually what I did. That was part of how I healed from my perimenopause so quickly, as I realized, oh, wait, hold up. what beliefs do I have around this? What beliefs did I not address? And then shifting that. So then that leads me to the third phase, which is purify. And that's where we develop a purification plan for you. So you can do this on your own. I help my clients with this. We look at physical detox, a mental diet. What are you needing to release out from the way you speak about yourself, and also a digital detox where the EMFs and the electrical and the inputs from social media and all of that actually affects your hormones and your stress level and all of that. So we have to find a balancing act. I put together a plan that's customized to each person, and then you can go away with that and do with it as you may and take little pieces from it, or you can have guidance and I support you through that transformation.
I love it. Thank you so much, Sarah. And everyone that's tuning in and you're just really interested in this conversation, please go catch the replay of the masterclass. It's in a link below here in the show notes. Do yourself a favor, listen to it. And if you have to go back and listen to it again, then do that. And also, if there's any questions or anything that you have, please connect with Sarah. Sarah, what is the best way for people to connect with you?
Yeah, you can find me at sarahlynwayne.com. Sarah with an H, Lynn, Wayne.com. And then /assessment is the best way you can find out how I can support you. It's like an initial way to see how we would work together. And you can always email Sarah at sarahlynwayne.com as well. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Sarah, just for sharing all your wisdom with us. So for everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. I am grateful to have you here every week listening to our private podcast inside the Soul Aligned Network. Until next time, bye.
Much love.